for Brook Pointe Holdings. Specifically, they're requesting 400 square foot of signage when the ordinance would only allow 200 square feet of signs being allowed with this, and then also to allow a new cabin structure to be located within 25 feet from the edge of a road. This property, again, at the same location. And when we talk about cabin being located from the edge of a road, if the intersection and what's commonly called crazy corners, if you look at the right-of-way, you can see how it comes down in through there. And if you're familiar, you can see that cut of the corner right there. That cut of the corner is made on private property. It's a public roadway on private property. We always give dimensions and setbacks we request from edge of road right-of-way. Normally that's the closest part to the road. In this unique situation, since it does cut across private property, they're asking to locate one of their cabins within 25 feet of edge of pavement for where that road makes its cut right there. It's an agricultural zone, should be 50 feet for any development for property lines. In this case, they're asking for 25 from edge of road. Other than that, there is a master plan that's associated with all the changes on there. We've kind of tried to devise those up, but I think what we'll do is let the petitioner kind of point out the different things that are being proposed in addition to what that existing facility is out there. Existing facility was granted exception a number of years ago for the hotel and convention area right in through there. And again, we're looking at some proposed changes and expansions. The other part of the expansion, I should say, they have acquired a whole new tract of ground in through there, over to the west end, new acreage that wasn't on the original approval and was not owned by the petitioner. They have acquired that, and then he'll outline what changes are proposed in that new western area also. For the hearing, legal ad had correctly appeared, and our affidavits do show adjacent property owners notified.
My name is Eric Wick. I'm with Brook Pointe Holdings. And you can see the master plan. I'll probably just work from right to left. If you have any questions throughout, just stop me and I'll do my best here. What we're wanting to do is all existing signage that's currently on property we're going to keep. The main entrance will also stay the same. Keep in mind this master plan is a 10-year plan due to the size and scope of the entire operation. It's quite a bit of work here. And the first step in that is actually planting all of the trees so they have time to grow and actually make the land grow with it, give the isolation behind the cabins. We will add 2 additional parking spots for each cabin that will be on here. And we will add 2 new roadways. Both will be one-way entrances. So this is the only way into the Brook Pointe property. They all stop at the hotel first. And then the exit this way will be only exit. And then this one will also be one way. That way the traffic is controlled and there's no problem there. The reason for doing cabins strictly was that we looked at expanding the hotel itself to allow more occupancy, and that was going to be a $3 million addition where it just didn't make sense, whereas these cabins that we can add throughout the property are only about a $20,000 investment each, so it just makes more sense for that. This section here, this pond is actually here right now. It's smaller than what's shown on the map. We will plan to expand it, and that will actually be our geothermal exhaust, so it allows better heating efficiency throughout the entire hotel as well. We will widen the brook that's already there as well, at least to a certain extent, so it actually looks like a brook instead of just stones and a walkway. Let's see, where am I here? On this side, this is all open ground as of right now too. These aren't actual steps other than grass steps, and this will be a nice place to have weddings, things of that nature. This will be patio pavers as well, so there's no staging there. On this side, we're expanding the parking spots, as I said. And the cabins will actually start in the wooded area. This is also wood, sorry, moving here. This is still existing wooded area that has wooded walkways as well. Everything that comes in these ways will be lit, so that way there's still places for people to see and they can actually not hurt themselves in the woods. There's an existing gazebo here. The walkway will continue. We have our wetlands still here that's going to maintain and stay the same. We've got a pavilion that will be back, I think in the right spot, yes. Pavilion that's going to be here will be concrete slab, and there'll be a playground right in front. The expansion where his cursor is at here is our planned to be conference center that will be attached to the existing structure. Our pool room is right in this area. It will be 350 occupancy, which is just under the limit for being attached to this fire sprinkler system. That way we don't have to go to that expense. I think that covers most of that area. If you want to expand it, yeah, go. That one-way road access will continue through here, go to all these cabins, and will be a one-way out here. Again, you can see the layout for the existing cabins. We have the tree line here started. We just planted that recently, so that way that has time to build up, and it gives the isolation between the roadway and the cabins, so that people won't really see the cabins themselves, and may be able to through the bottom part of the trees, but it allows them to be somewhat isolated. We want to expand the existing shop that we have up here for more storage. Allows us to have more equipment, just because there's a lot of ground to take care of. We need more tractors and such to take care of that. This will actually be gated, so no one can go in here. This is actually the property owner's address, personal place to stay. And trying to make sure that covered all the new aspects. There will be, the additional signage we want to have would be on the bottom portion here north, right where that portion of the road cuts into the property line. I think you have the dimensions specs for that sign over here. Yes, I think it's approximately 11 feet from tip to tip and about 5 feet or so tall. The signage here, the actual words on this may change slightly. Again, that's going to depend on the time frame when we do it. If we decide to change names for Brook Pointe, take out the inn, or so to speak. I do have some pictures of the layout of the cabins that we are going with, at least for the moment. I don't know if you want to just pass them around. I'll have copies for everyone. I apologize for that. But that's at least what we're thinking as far as construction goes. If anyone wanted to notice that, they're about 400 square feet apiece. Have full kitchenette inside of them, as well as restroom facilities. As far as septic goes, if that's something you're concerned with. The master plan, the wetlands here, when they were originally constructed, were actually oversized for the Brook Pointe facility. It would actually allow us to double the size of the facility, and these wetlands, which process gray water, would handle that completely fine. So with the addition of 26 cabins, it's still going to handle the load as far as we can tell, and we would have the engineers come out and make sure that would work just fine. We would add holding tanks somewhere in this vicinity for the actual solid waste, and then we would leach out the gray water to our wetlands processing area. So that should still maintain its functionality and have no problems. Yeah, cover all the things.
Very well done. I'm curious about what kind of trees you're planting.
They're little ones about this big.
Yeah. The ones we started as of right now were white pines, I believe they are, which should grow up similar to these. Yeah, they look fast. That's at least the hope, because otherwise it's going to take forever. We have, there's different types of birch trees. The existing rack repairs that are in the main drive, were bad from start, and they've been breaking in tests every winter. That's no problem for them. So you can see how they thinned out and broken apart. We're going to replace those with, I think there's a type of lilac, so it'll still have that nice flowery effect. But we also have a lot of maple trees that will come through, and I think the other ones that we had on there. That I didn't hear. That way there's shade right throughout the property.
That sign you got out there, does that block the view of anything?
Which sign? The new one we're going to propose, or it will actually sit back. I don't know if it has the dimensions on it, the overall master plan there, as far as how far it sits back.
I'm not sure, but I go through that area frequently,
Sure.
and the way that sign was presented, I don't think it's gonna block anything.
Yeah, it sits far enough back. Plus, it sits up on an embankment slightly
Yeah,
anyway, so that you would see the embankment before you see the sign.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Maybe one line to address the 25-foot setback on the cabin.
Okay. Really, the only issue with that is we would have trees separating it. The right of way, how far does the right of way go back there? Trying to get measurements. It's not to say we couldn't push those cabins up slightly, but that is, going to depend on how much this roadway is going to be and how far we can, these aren't set specifically, so if we could reconfigure them, that might be a possibility. This is just an overall 10-year plan, like I said. Sure. Things can possibly change in terms of how we fit them in, but beyond that, that I'm not sure how to approach move forward on that.
Thank you. I don't see anyone else here to speak.
2 letters on file, one from a Henry to Julia and another one from a Mike and Julie Norden on file. And should go through letters of support. First, Wawasee Property Owners Association Orderly Development Committee is saying we can support all parts of these requests with the exception of the 25-foot setback. There should be enough room on the site to build in compliance with the setback ordinance, but overall supportive from the Wawasee Owners Association.
Is this shared with the petitioners? Do they know about the
It came in this morning. If you want to look at a letter from,
That's all right. Well,
That's fine.
All right. I'm concerned about school bus stop sign.
No, I don't think there's a problem. Because it's far enough back. I don't think it's with the view.
Chuck, can you just give us the gist of that letter so we don't?
no, I think you better read
No.
it. That's the same letter they're looking at right there.
Thank you.
Do you have any response to the
I-
pension?
I can
issue
respond to that
or-
one first since I haven't read this one yet.
Yeah.
But as far as the traffic is concerned and the speed limit, respectively, I forgot to mention this part, but the Wawasee Trails Committee, they're actually planning on building a sidewalk, which they're going to take care of, and we will light that sidewalk. So as far as any passerby people walking, that should take care of that. It literally will surround the entire outside edge of the property here. It will extend eventually to town this way, and they're going to build it all the way so it walks out that direction. And then meet up there where it goes already, where it's existing by Fox Run.
The speed limit from there into, almost into town is 45.
Right. And for the most part, that's observed. I don't see anybody really zooming down the road.
We're putting
So-
the sidewalk to get people off the road.
Right, the sidewalk for that purpose is to make people not walk on the road. A lot of times I actually cut through property as is if they're walking back and forth to and from town or. So as far as that goes. The other question.
Detention
Water.
pond or whatever.
The detention, as far as that goes, I think I explained that with the wetland area, all drainage go into that just fine. And the,
To answer the detention part, that'll have to be reviewed by our county engineer, bringing in
Correct.
all their detention.
Correct.
The sewage angle to it too, that's also reviewed through, so they'll still have the engineering specs from the original one. They'll take into account the additional overflow, that'll all have to be approved, but there's gonna be the State Board of Health and our local looking at that part.
correct. There was one comment in there as far as a water park, that's not on the table as far as I'm aware of any near future plan whatsoever. It's strictly for cabins and rentals for the Brook Pointe's regular property usage, so. In regards to more signage, I mean, we did acquire, I think it's 8.5 acres, something to that extent. And with the expansion of more cabins, it allows us to have more types of rentals as far as long-term stays for the boating community comes in for bass tournaments, things like that. It allows much more flexibility to what we can do to serve the public. So the more signage we can explain that, the better there is. As of right now, we had to build the one that was never there before, so. And give me a moment to cipher through this.
I'm not sure that needs a response.
Okay.
So we'll close the meeting, comment, discussion, or motion.
I think it's a reasonable request. And I think the mentioning the sidewalk going around there, the trail committee's building that all around all the sea. He's making an effort to fit in with what the community is trying to do. I don't think that entering and exiting here will create a speed problem here. I mean, I've been on that road before, I know some of the kids race down the road, you know, big deal.
It's- Anybody who comes to that corner is confused anyway.
Yeah, so.
It's always a surprise to go.
I didn't understand what the comment about the water park on Harry.
Well, you said that's not easy.
But
That's not-
I think rumors probably get started that you were going to put a water park in
Yeah.
also.
Move to approve, the request is presented.
Both of them?
Both of them. I'll second
To approve both and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's carried.
Throw that one back in front.